Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. I'm Dr. P, a board certified OBGYN, and today we're talking about how to control thyroid in pregnancy. Thyroid health is extremely important during pregnancy, and so we're going to talk about why that is today. We will review the screening process of how to know that you have a thyroid issue in pregnancy, as well as if you are diagnosed with thyroid issues like hypothyroid or hyperthyroid, we'll talk about what that means and what you need to do to save or protect your pregnancy. All right, so let's talk about thyroid. I feel like as a provider myself, thyroid isn't discussed enough. And there are several different reasons why this might be a thing. The first I would say is that whenever you start your pregnancy and you get all those initial blood work done and it's like 10, 12 tubes of things, you would think thyroid is one of them being tested, but it actually is not. And so because of that, I feel like thyroid is a little bit underrated, but it actually does impact pregnancy extremely if you do have that issue. So how so? Thyroid is, I'm actually going to show you with my little plush here. This is a very enlarged version of your thyroid. Okay, so think of your thyroid as like a butterfly looking shaped gland that actually sits right here in the front of your neck. You can't feel it when you touch your neck, but it's there. It's very thin and beneath the skin. Now, this thyroid is actually super powerful. It actually completely controls your metabolism. And so what do we think of with your, metabolism, what that means? Let me tell you how your body burns calories, metabolism. Gaining weight, losing weight, metabolism. If you are having hormonal issues or some infertility, could be due to your thyroid as well. When we think of temperature, that's another big one. There are some people who are constantly cold and it doesn't matter how hot a room is, they're shivering. Or the opposite of that, wherein people are extremely hot all the time and it's almost as if they can eat the world and gain no weight, okay? Those are all linked with your metabolism, and your thyroid regulates and controls that. Now, in pregnancy, this is no different. Your thyroid gland is extremely active during pregnancy, and it does so by helping to not only regulate your metabolism, but it actually is very important for the brain development of a baby. So all that fetal brain power and making sure that the different aspects of the brain, the nerves of the brain, the activity of the brain actually develops well, that is linked with your thyroid. So when we think of you potentially having a thyroid issue, if this is not diagnosed or not treated well during pregnancy, it is not only affecting you, but it could affect your future baby as well. So let's dive in a little bit deeper into, what exactly all of this means. As I mentioned, thyroid is important, yes, but screening is not universal. So whenever you get your prenatal testing done, thyroid testing is not necessarily a part of that panel unless you have a personal history of having a thyroid issue. And then, that will kind of trigger your doctors doing the testing. Or if you have a significant family history, say your mom had a thyroid issue, then they may include it. But for every other normal pregnancy that comes about, thyroid testing is not universally done. Now, does that mean that it can't be done? No. If you have some concerns during your pregnancy at any point and you're wondering whether or not your thyroid is actually functioning well, please just have a conversation with your doctor and they'll be able to do the testing if necessary. Now, if you had untreated or undiagnosed thyroid issues, it could impact your pregnancy as well. It may lead to miscarriages. You could be at risk for preterm labor or delivery. You can be at risk of having preeclampsia, which is a hypertensive issue during pregnancy. Baby could also have developmental issues because, again, the thyroid impacts brain development. So it's extremely important that you have discussions with your doctor regarding whether or not you're at risk of having any thyroid issues and whether or not you should be tested. Ideally, if we are testing, we want this testing to be done as early as possible during pregnancy. Now, in general, your initial confirmation of pregnancy in your doctor's office would happen somewhere between 6 and 8 weeks. At that point, we have these conversations, we start all this testing, and if you're curious about what kind of testing would be done for your thyroid in general, there are 2 specific tests that you want to get. The first is called TSH. That is the thyroid stimulating hormone. Believe it or not, this hormone actually comes from the brain, but it's very important as far as how your thyroid gland performs. It helps it to increase production or reduce production as necessary. And so it's very important to test. And so it is the TSH. The second test is a T4. This is actually physically testing how much thyroid hormone is circulating in your body. Now, between these 2, we'll have a good idea whether or not you have a thyroid issue at all, and if so, if it is too active or underactive. Now, if you have an underlying thyroid, hypothyroidism, thyroid issue, just know that during your first trimester, things may be a little bit abnormal. And this is because while your body's working so hard to work on the fetal development and this new human that is being made, and what happens is that your thyroid levels or your TSH level may abnormally decrease. And that's because your body's using a lot of this thyroid hormone activity that you have. And so we want your range during your first trimester to be at the upper limit of 2.5. Now, if you have hyperthyroidism, in this condition, we're often trying to work really hard to bring those levels down. So those levels are still super important in your first trimester. However, we don't see the same decline as we do in someone with hypothyroidism. Nevertheless, medications will be adjusted accordingly with either condition. And so don't be alarmed if your dosages are going up because you need a little bit more support. Or sometimes in hyperthyroidism, we may see the opposite where we need to kind of remove or reduce the amount of medicine you're on so that we can keep you in a very stable range. Now, overall, either thyroid condition in pregnancy is completely controllable. It just means that you may have to have your testing done a lot more often than you would when you're not pregnant. In general, we recommend testing every 4 to 6 weeks. And then based on your results, we're making constant adjustments all the way until when baby is delivered. Then you can kind of go back to where you were or the levels of medicine you were on prior to pregnancy. Now, if this was newly diagnosed, this was the first time that you ever knew about thyroid conditions in pregnancy, after you deliver, we will now find your new norm as far as how much medicine your body needs and what would be great for your maintenance over time. This can all be complex or sound really complex, but I promise you that if you are under care, under the right provider, these are things that we deal with all the time. This is very common, and so it's just a matter of sharing your thoughts, your symptoms, your experiences with your doctors so that we can help you along the way. Now, stay encouraged because having a thyroid issue doesn't necessarily mean that your baby will have a thyroid issue. Most of the times they don't. And it doesn't mean that you can't have a completely normal pregnancy and delivery as well. I hope this information has been helpful for you today. Thank you so much for listening in. And listen, I have a free gift for you because you're still here. I would love to send you a free copy of my ebook, Hormones Don't Lie, because they don't. And with this, all you have to do is click on the link below this video and I will send it your way. All right? Thank you so much for being here today. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope to catch you next time. Take care.